The music softened as everyone turned toward the girl in the wheelchair. She sat perfectly still, hands folded, eyes fixed on the dance floor, where joy seemed to stop just short of her. Conversations hushed, smiles faded, no one moved closer. And then, from the back of the room, a tired-looking single dad took one slow step forward. Before we go any further, if stories about unexpected kindness and real human moments move you the way they move us, take a second to subscribe to Kindness Tales, like this video, and share your thoughts or similar experiences in the comments. These conversations matter, and you're part of them. The wedding was held in one of those upscale suburban venues just outside the city, all glass walls and soft lights. The kind of place where every detail whispered money without ever saying it out loud. Valets lined the driveway. Guests arrived in polished shoes and tailored dresses, laughter floating easily between clinking glasses. At the center of it all was the bride's father, the CEO of a major tech company, a man whose name most people in the room recognized, even if they'd never met him. He moved through the crowd with calm confidence, shaking hands, offering warm smiles, trying his best to enjoy the day without letting business follow him through the door. But every few minutes his eyes drifted back to his daughter. She was 16, with dark hair carefully styled for the occasion, a pale blue dress draped neatly over her knees as she sat in her wheelchair near the edge of the reception hall. An accident years earlier had left her paralyzed from the waist down. Since then, she'd learned to live with a body that didn't respond the way she wanted, and a world that often didn't quite know what to do with her. Today was supposed to be a celebration, a family milestone, a day filled with love. And yet, as the evening unfolded, she seemed more like an afterthought than a guest of honor's child. People smiled politely when they passed her. Some offered a quick hello before drifting back toward the bar or the dance floor. Others avoided eye contact altogether, unsure of what to say, afraid of saying the wrong thing. The DJ announced the first dance, and couples gathered close, the room filling with movement and warmth. The girl watched silently, her fingers tightening slightly in her lap. Her father noticed. Of course he did. He'd noticed the way she'd hesitated before coming inside, the way she'd asked if she could sit near the wall instead of the center. He told himself it was fine, that she was comfortable, that not everyone loved crowds. But as song after song played and no one approached her, the knot in his chest grew heavier. He wanted to step in, to say something, to fix it the way he fixed problems at work. But this wasn't a boardroom issue. This was his child's heart. Across the room stood a man who didn't quite fit in. His suit was clean but clearly older. The kind you keep for special occasions, because you can't afford to replace it often. He was there with his young son, who kept tugging at his sleeve, eyes wide as he watched the dancers spin and laugh. The man was a single dad, invited because he worked maintenance for the venue and had been given a +1. As a small gesture of appreciation, he hadn't expected to feel so out of place, surrounded by people whose watches probably cost more than his car. He noticed the girl almost immediately. Maybe it was because he knew what it felt like to be on the outside of a room full of people. Maybe it was because his son had spent years in and out of hospitals when he was younger, learning early how cruel silence and avoidance could be. Or maybe it was simply because he saw a human being sitting alone while everyone else was busy celebrating. As the night went on, the boy whispered to his father, asking why that girl wasn't dancing. The man glanced over again and felt a familiar pull in his chest. He told his son that sometimes people don't dance because it's hard, or because others forget to ask. The boy frowned, clearly unsatisfied with that answer. When the DJ announced an open dance and invited everyone to join, the floor filled quickly. Laughter rose, shoes tapped, dresses swirled. The girl's gaze dropped from the dancers to the pattern on the floor. That was the moment the single dad felt something shift inside him. He looked at his son, then back at the girl, and without fully planning it, he stood up. He walked slowly across the room, aware of the eyes following him, aware of how strange it might look. He stopped in front of her wheelchair and smiled. Not the tight, awkward smile people often gave, but an easy one, like he was greeting an old friend. He said hello and asked if she liked the music. She nodded, surprised, her voice quiet, as she said it was her favorite song. He hesitated only a second before asking if she'd like to dance. The question seemed to hang in the air. A few nearby guests froze, watching. The girl blinked, clearly unsure if she'd heard him right. She gestured gently to the wheelchair, as if to remind him of something obvious. He nodded, acknowledging it, and said he knew. He explained that dancing didn't have to look one way. It could be hands moving, laughter, feeling the rhythm together. He asked again, softer this time. Her eyes flicked toward her father across the room, then back to the man in front of her. Slowly a small smile appeared. She said yes. He placed his hands carefully on the arms of her wheelchair and began to move with the music, guiding her in gentle circles near the edge of the dance floor. He swayed, stepping in time, occasionally spinning the chair just enough to make her laugh. Her hands lifted, moving freely, her shoulders loosening as the music seemed to finally reach her. The boy joined them, clapping along, his laughter bright and unfiltered. Something remarkable happened then. People began to notice. At first, they watched from a distance, uncertain. Then a few smiles appeared. Someone wiped away a tear. The energy in the room shifted, like a window opening to let in fresh air. The girl's laughter grew louder, her face glowing in a way her father hadn't seen in a long time. He stood frozen, overwhelmed by a mix of gratitude and regret. Gratitude for the stranger who saw his daughter. Regret that it had taken a stranger to do it. Soon others joined in. A couple danced nearby, mirroring the rhythm. A bridesmaid waved and spun closer. The invisible wall around the girl dissolved, replaced by warmth and inclusion. She wasn't the girl in the wheelchair anymore. She was just a teenager at a wedding, dancing like everyone else. When the song ended, the applause was spontaneous and heartfelt. The single dad stepped back, thanked her for the dance, and returned to his seat as if he'd done nothing extraordinary. But the room knew better. Later that evening, the CEO approached him. He didn't come with the polished authority he used at work. He came as a father. His voice shook slightly as he thanked the man for what he'd done, for seeing his daughter when so many others hadn't. He offered praise, connections, even hinted at opportunities. The single dad listened politely, then gently declined anything that felt like repayment. He said he'd just done what he hoped someone would do for his own child. The girl watched the exchange from across the room, a quiet understanding settling in her heart. That simple act had changed something in her. Not just the night, but the way she saw herself. She felt visible, worthy, included. In the weeks that followed, the memory of that dance lingered. The girl carried herself differently at school. She spoke up more.
She smiled easier.
Her father, too, changed. He became more attentive, more aware of the silent spaces where kindness was needed. And the single dad went back to his routine, to early mornings and packed lunches, never fully realizing how deeply his choice had rippled outward. Kindness doesn't always arrive with grand gestures or perfect words. Sometimes it looks like a worn suit crossing a crowded room. Sometimes it's a simple question asked with genuine respect. The kind of kindness that doesn't seek attention, but leaves a permanent mark. That night at the wedding reminded everyone there of something easy to forget. Inclusion isn't about knowing exactly what to do. It's about being willing to step forward when others hesitate. It's about seeing the person before the circumstance. And when we choose that, even for a moment, we can turn silence into music and isolation into connection. If this story touched you, take it with you. Look around the next room you're in. Notice who might be sitting just outside the circle. Your small act could be the one they remember for the rest of their life. And if you have a story of kindness you've witnessed or experienced, share it in the comments. You never know who needs to hear it today.